It is 6:45. We are going to open our public hearing. JDM Rentals has submitted an application for a change in zoning. It is currently an R3 residential, and they are proposing a special use. They would like to change this to a triplex. And I know there are a lot of people here that want to talk about this, so who would like to go first? Okay, please come up to the microphone and say who you are.
Hi everyone, my name is Olivia Biltz and I live at 1070 Worcester Road with my husband Jason. Our access is off of Maxwell, which is within like 250 feet of this proposed amendment. I made packets, so if you want to pass this out. Ready? Hi. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, first I want to say, I usually don't dress as professionally, but I had to go to court and I didn't have time to change, so.
We like the respect.
Oh, thanks. So I just want to say that the zoning code that you, as council, enacted in 2004 states that its entire goal is to promote and protect the safety, comfort, prosperity, and general welfare of the residents of Millersburg and to protect the character of existing areas. I put this is on the first page of your packet. You as council are also required, pursuant to section 1137.09 of your zoning code, which is also on the front page if you want to follow along the highlighted areas, you must consider the following three factors in order to consider an amendment. 1, the use of adjacent land. 2, motor vehicle access. And 3, the general welfare of the residents in the village. You are required to follow this chapter for changing a zoning map. In my professional opinion, this zoning amendment goes against every single one of these criteria. The entire point of implementing the zoning is to prevent something like this from actually happening. That's the whole reason why you guys enacted it. Your job is to protect our property values as well. In reference to factor 1, which is use of adjacent land, there are at least 14 single-family residences within 250 feet of this property. That's on page 2. It's my rough printing off the GIS map. Sorry, it's not very formal. And some of these are rentals. Just to be clear, we are not anti-rental whatsoever. We are just anti you approving a zoning change that goes against the criteria that you as council implemented. At the zoning board meeting, it was brought up about the duplexes down the street from this. There's a couple duplexes down there. Pages 3 and 4, I printed off the property cards from the auditors. Those were built, it's highlighted on there, 1972 and 1994, which was before the zoning code was implemented in 2004. If council wanted to make this area, that section, multifamily, I believe they would have done so whenever the zoning code was implemented. Instead, it was made R3, and those duplexes were grandfathered into the R3 district. In reference to factor 3, once this is changed to special use, it will be special use forever. I took the list from the zoning code that shows what the potential of these properties at some point could be. I know the talk is for a triplex now, but the possibilities are pretty endless. That's on pages 5 to 6. A cemetery could be put there. A water tower could be put there. Billboards could be put there. Commercial properties could be put there. Anything could be put there. Jason and I, we would love to live here for the rest of our lives. We love our house and we love being part of the community in Millersburg. We really do. So in 50 years, we're going to be the ones dealing with the consequences of passing this and allowing this to become special use and having potentially a commercial property right outside of our back door in our single-family residential area. I also want to point out that the map JDM Reynolds submitted, I believe to be, is factually incorrect. That's on page 7. It shows that Borlow Street extends to its lot. Please note, however, sorry. I only printed one copy of this because it's like 20 pages. I don't have too much paper, so if you guys want to pass that around. You guys actually, as council, vacated that portion of the street back in 2010. So basically, if they want to get access to the house, so motor vehicle access, which is factor 2, they're gonna have to get access easements from both Robbins Terrace and Scenic View Homes. And that's in my opinion, which you guys can obviously confirm that. And they can't even get a house number for that unless they have actual legal access to it, which I believe, that they don't. So basically, those are the three factors that you guys need to consider. It's required, your zoning code says you must consider these whenever making a zoning amendment change. Use of the adjacent land, we're in a single family residential area, motor vehicle access, I don't believe that they have access, and 3, the general welfare of the residents of the village. Jason and I and the Gindelsbergers are literally begging you guys to not approve this. We are just, we're begging. We came here, Jason and I came to the last zoning board meeting, we're here again, and you know who's not here? Mr. JDM Reynolds. I don't know who this is, he hasn't even came to anything. So he either just doesn't care, or he thinks you guys are just going to pass it through. So I'm just really hoping and begging that you guys listen to your residents and do exactly what I know council is supposed to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak?
I want Teresa, I would say.
My name is Teresa Morse, and I represent Scenic View Homes, which is the duplexes that are adjacent to this property. So my concerns are that when that Furlow Street was closed, that became part of Scenic View Homes. And so we've been paying the taxes on it. And so this gentleman is now driving on what used to be that extension of Furlow Street to get to his property. My understanding is that his property had the address of Marchand Street. It was not a Furlow Street address. And any of the maps from past I looked at, it always looked like Furlow Street ended on Scenic View property. It never extended out in any of the pictures that I could find to that property. I know that is like a driveway then that goes on back in. So my biggest concern is just, we're paying that taxes on that property, and this guy is running his trucks over it already. They parked in my yard already. And something needs to be done. If he's gonna be allowed to build those duplexes, my feeling is that the town needs to take Furlow Street back over again. Take it back. I don't wanna pay taxes, I don't wanna pay the upkeep for anywhere from 3 to 6 to 12 more vehicles running across our property. So that's what I have to say about it.
Thank you.
I will.
Come on up.
Emotional, but-
That's okay, come on up.
My name is Heidi Gindelsberger, and I live at 1070 Maxwell Avenue, which is right in front of where you want to build this. I don't want it in my backyard. I don't want someone staring at me in my bathroom window when I'm in the shower. That could potentially happen if you're building these duplexes. I don't want it to happen. Right now, our neighborhood is nice. We have a good community. We don't need it. They've already started some demolition over there. They've already started taking trees down. Hasn't even been approved yet. I don't want it. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Basically, the bottom line is, if this does get approved, why would we want to continue to invest in not only our house, but also this community? Our property values are going to go down. As soon as this gets approved, as soon as this house starts to go up, our properties are going to go down. That's the reality of it. So why would we want to pour any more money, any more time, any more heart into trying to increase our property values? Me and my wife have lost sleep over this decision, thinking about the fact that we might have to move As soon as we bought this property, from day one, we were thinking about what this would look like whenever we're old, decrepit, handicap accessible even. Our house is set up perfectly for us throughout our entire life. We love our house. Because the zoning board approved this, from what I understand based off the zoning code, you need 3/4 of the board members to deny this request. And I would really truly like to believe that deep down in all of your hearts, you know this amendment is wrong and does not meet your codes. We are literally begging you to deny this because we want to further invest in this community and we want to live here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Council, do you have any questions?
Have they started to break away on the land? Have they started
Just
to
clearing,
build?
land clearing. So for those of us who are not on the planning and zoning board, what were the arguments? I mean, what was the reason that it was passed, if there was such opposition?
Because I said, this is, what we are doing is passing this to council. We are not saying yes or saying no. We are saying council can make the decision, and that's why it came to council.
And so I'm new. Wasn't here in 2010, wasn't here on some of the things. But I followed council for a lot of years, and I questioned a lot of decisions. And I got emotional about things. And I'm gonna be as respectful as I can. But nobody gave me an answer for sure, but there have been a lot of, obviously we go to planning and zoning to ask for things to exceptions. And there have been duplexes and triplexes approved in areas where people didn't want them. And so a precedent has been set by people. There are people that sit on this council that allowed the condominiums to be built over objection of what could happen down there. And I've seen some things that aren't pretty, okay? People were emotional about that. I understand when you say your property value is going to go down, I need facts about that. And let me give you an example. I bought my house, you know where I live? Grand Central Station. And I bought that house, we bought our house in 1999. And if you would have told me the traffic of that house, and I love I'm as emotional as you are about that house. I don't know if I can sell it. But I couldn't control what all the buildup here and everything that happened in the traffic. So I didn't have control over that. I came and I complained about the traffic. I've gotten a rear end point out of my driveway. I've complained about the speed to no avail. I'm elected. I still can't fix it. My property value though has still gone up. I paid $83,500 for that house in 99. My homeowner's insurance has it insured right now for $258,000. I'm surrounded by rental properties. I know when they do appraisals of homes, they don't usually appraise it to the place next to you. They'll appraise a house based on a similar single-family home, square footage and all that. So my concern is that I understand everything you're saying and I can feel the emotion. But so many people like you have come into here on a council before I was on and pleaded the same thing you did. And people on this council approved duplexes and triplexes. So do you understand a precedent's been set.
But I don't think that we have to go by that.
Okay.
I don't think that just because we have a precedent doesn't mean we can't say the buck can stop right here. I think that we have not had as many residents come in and say, don't do this, as we have for this project right here.
Well, some of it's emotional.
Yeah, and understandably, because they're all neighbors. But I don't think that just because it's been done in the past that we can't say, you know what? No, we're not gonna do it in this instance. Because our residents and their opinions come first. And I think that it's completely doable to do that.
I'd like to just add that I agree some of it is emotional, but I also think some of it is factual.
How much is your property value gonna go down if that thing's built? Can you
That's
provide?
really hard to say.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, you can't say for sure.
I will say that since you purchased your home and now, every single property value has increased.
Mhm.
I'm looking at this more on a broad spectrum, that 50 years from now, who knows what this looks like.
There may not be as many people here.
If you approve of this to go special use, there's nothing stopping a future council, a future zoning board to further expand that special use district, further worsening it for us, for everybody in the community. It sets a precedence. I said that at the zoning board. I asked you to deny it to stop the precedence. I'm here again to ask you to deny it to stop the precedence. I think we can go against the grain here. I ask that you do so.
Okay, we are going to continue this discussion in regular council because it is time for regular council to start. So, welcome to regular council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Do I need to stop and restart the video, or can you
No,
start it?
just keep going. Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Can we have the roll call, please, Jessica?
Shoemaker,
Here?
Vaughn.
Here.
Poland.
Here.
Hofstadter,
Here.
Con,
Here.
Keller.
Here.
Okay, we are going to start with our community events. I gotta move all my stuff around here. Tomorrow at New Point at 6:30 p.m. This is not on the community calendar. I don't know why I didn't put it there. There's a meeting about the YMCA coming to Millersburg and Holmes County. So that is tomorrow at 6:30 at New Point. This Saturday is Village Cleanup and Shredding Day in the morning from 9 to noon at the Street Department Garage. And next weekend, we have closing ceremonies on Saturday at the Home Center for the Arts and on Sunday down at the amphitheater. So that's what we have coming up. There is no update for our bicentennial. We are still, Taylor is working on getting our banners ordered. So we're working on that. Are there any visitors wish to address council at this time? We'll continue this discussion, I promise. Okay. Can we have a motion to suspend the reading of the minutes, please?
So moved.
Second.
You just said, say, Poland.
Poland.
Aye.
Hofstadter,
Aye.
Shoemaker,
No.
Vaughn,
No, I didn't approve. No.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Con,
Yes.
Keller.
No.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
There wasn't anything put in the minutes about the feedback, about the B&Bs, the people that you responded about.
Because if people don't come to the microphone, it's not included in the official minutes, that's why.
Okay.
Did you want to add something?
No.
No? Could we have a motion to approve the minutes then?
So moved.
Second.
Poland.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Hofstadter,
Aye.
Shoemaker,
Aye.
Con,
Aye.
Keller.
Okay, yes.
All right, Bill Resolution 2025-13. Are there any questions on the bills totaling $193,077.85? Hearing none, could we have a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion, Con.
Second.
Con,
Aye.
Hofstadter,
Aye.
Shoemaker,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Poland, Keller.
Yes. All right, Chad.
Well, Design Review Board approved the signage, Harvest Ridge Construction, 20 West Jackson, signage for Mellsburg Dental, 35 South Clay, as well as the fence installation at Hotel Mellsburg, On May 15th, Planning and Zoning approved the variance request for Habitat for Humanity for 571 Elm Street for a side yard setback, as well as reviewed proposed parcel layout for the upcoming Steinle property sale. Spectrum is assigned a work order, still waiting on that site to be done at the Worcester Road Jones Street intersection. I believe everything's unhooked other than one wire, so we're still waiting on that. No update on the sidewalk project, post office, vehicles. I believe the F-550 is in. We have a check for that. Pomerene Hospital delivered last week. With that crossing, we'll work with street department on installation dates. Airport Park are waiting shipping installation dates from the Game Time. Something we need to discuss with council, along with Tree City, is we brought it hopefully to council's discussion on planters versus tree cutouts. There'll be a sidewalk project hopefully within this year still. Tree City, as well as others, would like to discuss and like council to decide. Sent some pictures to all of you, included planters, hanging baskets versus the trees. So that is something we'd like to discuss. To finish out though, Clay Street Park, discussion of thoughts on the proposed sidewalk. Actually, we probably just need to stick with downtown sidewalk project first. The pictures shows what we have right now in downtown areas. We have about 2 blocks worth of trees. We've had the complaints, the various complaints about the trees, the sizes, the species. With the new sidewalk project, we'd like for council to discuss if they would entertain any other ideas other than trees. If you want the trees, council decides the trees, then we'll need to know that for the sidewalk project. If you're looking, we looked at planters and hanging baskets, then that'd be something different. But we'd like to have that as a discussion this evening and see what council thinks or has any opinions on that.
The reason why we have to do that is because the engineering is going in. And so they need to know if they need to have cutouts for trees or not cutouts for trees, because with the grants that we have, we don't want to pay extra for more engineering if we change our minds. So that's why this discussion is coming now.
When do they have to know?
Arnie's gonna be working with us as well. I mean, it isn't something that would happen, but we need to bring it up now because we're in the works.
Probably by the next council meeting, because
Something
the
like
money
that.
will be available the beginning of June. And so that's when things will be.
Is there enough
In the works.
feedback from people that do not like the trees? I mean, are people adamantly opposed to the trees and they want to see something else?
In the 10 months I've been here, I've only heard negative things. That's
No,
just
that's
being
what I
honest.
thought. No, that's what I thought.
There
I've
is
only heard
different
negative.
options and things like that, and if trees are, it's just we're so ununiform right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We have some this high, some higher. They definitely are blocking our signs and our storefronts. And that's not for me to be in a negative way. I'm just giving you the facts that are out there, that's all.
The berries are horrific.
They're
everyone.
probably not helping the sidewalk either.
No, I mean, roots never help sidewalk, but you try to leave enough out that it doesn't affect it. So just something that we can table that if you'd like and think about and get some facts.
I'm curious what council, if council has an opinion right now, or if you want to wait, that's fine too. But I have my own opinion about it. I'm not a tree fan as far as where the trees are located and how they look and that sort of thing right now. I'm an advocate for trees, but not at the location. I don't think with the existing sidewalks that are going to be put in, I'd rather see something else. I'd rather see a hanging basket or something like that. But that's my opinion, and I'm curious as to what others have as far as their opinion too.
Well, I've been giving my opinion for 10 years about it. I think I had asked you, you said that the trees helped with sound. I don't think they're helping with sound.
I would
Downtown.
disagree with that, that's fine.
Do you think the trees help break, those
Absolutely.
trees break the sound?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Those berry trees?
Yes, I can tell a difference between summer and winter, when leaves are on and leaves are off.
On downtown.
In the downtown, how loud everything is. I mean, and I'll give my opinion, and again, I may be biased because I was on the tree board for 10 years, but I would like to see those trees replaced with other trees. And I agree that the trees that are there now are terrible, and should be removed. But one of the big things that tree people preach is putting the right tree in the right place. And I think we could all agree that those trees are neither the right tree nor the right place.
How'd that happen?
I would agree
Who knows?
with that.
I mean, they've been there for
Right.
probably 30 years. I have no idea when they were put in. I think that there are a number of benefits to having trees in the downtown. The first is just the aesthetics, how it looks. And if you want to see what a town without trees looks like, we only have to drive to Berlin to see that. When they widened the sidewalk, or widened the streets there, they took out all the trees. And it is just a concrete and blacktop wasteland up through town. And if you've ever walked the streets of Berlin, they get the same truck traffic that we do, and it is just deafening. You know, so they look nice, they do break up the sound. If you think about any new construction that gets built where you have a large open area that is echoey and boomy, how do they fix that? They put soft surfaces in there to help break up the sound, and that's what trees do. You know, and in our downtown, it is narrow, it is tight. We've got nothing but concrete and stone and blacktop and glass and brick, and it is deafening, and the trees help break that up. I think that a lot of times it can be a wind tunnel down Main Street as well, and the trees help diffuse that a little bit as well. If I had my choice, I'd put ginkgos all throughout the downtown. They're a nice little tree. We have one in front of our house that's probably 6 or 8 years old. It is still very, very skinny up and down. If they plant male trees, which is what the Tree City was putting when they put ginkgos in, there's no berries. They have these cool yellow fan-shaped leaves. After your first hard frost of the fall, they all go whoomp down in one big poosh, and you're done. New York City has planted thousands of ginkgos, and the reason is they're a hardy little tree. They suck up pollution. They look nice. Again, that's my soapbox pitch for trees. But and going back to how they look, if we get rid of the trees, that's less places for the Lions Club to hang Christmas lights on in the downtown as well. So again, that's my pitch for trees.
Good point, Brett.
Well, if trees got planted, they should be planted in a situation where they're not in the middle of a parking spot.
Agreed.
So that's your other thing, is you've got people that cannot get out of on the passenger side of the thing because there's a tree there.
Agreed.
So that should either be at the top of a parking spot, or, I mean.
And if that's going to be changed and we do replace it with trees, that's the time to do it. You know, we know where the parking spaces are. That's your time to position them properly. You know, we're kind of being given an opportunity to correct the wrongs that were done in the past. So I would love to see trees stay in the downtown.
Devon, Tom, Bob, anyone?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the trees. I know if we would look at doing hanging baskets or things like that, we'd want to stay uniform with the fluted posts, which are not cheap. And I assume we want to try to match the downtown area, not make it something not as attractive as fluted posts. But as long as trees are selected correctly and placed correctly, I don't have an issue with trees. But, you know, these trees have been an issue in a discussion at council for the last 20 years, so.
Yeah, and we have a project coming up, and that's just why we're bringing it up now, so that way we can know one way or the other. You guys make sure your mics are on as well, please. Thank you.
Devon?
I would like to see a tree of some type be planted in.
Okay. Bob,
I like the idea of the tree.
you like the idea of the trees? Okay.
Unanimous. That's fine, we can move
Okay.
forward. Clay Street Park, Nate give you a picture of drawing in your packet of some ideas on proposed sidewalk layout at the park. Unfortunately though, with the terrain, if we run that blue path through, it actually will not come out to the sidewalk on the South Monroe Street, just so you're aware of that. It'd be close, but it won't, the terrain just gets too steep. The other idea is, if we have an area already, is for a handicap drop-off on Clay Street. So that way, if somebody does need the accessibility, we can pull them right in there, drop them off, and they can go throughout the park from there. So we're not sold completely on the idea. If council would like that sidewalk all the way across, or if they would like something else that maybe connects more from the handicap accessible drop-off area. So, if anybody needs to see it, I can pass it around.
Is there an actual picture? I don't think there was one on there that actually showed, it explained where the handicap parking.
Right now, we have an
Yeah.
entrance gate. It would have to be
Yeah.
somewhere around that area. It's already cut out. And
So
we're-
would the sidewalk, okay, it would be on the northeast corner, right? So is that where the fence ends?
Mhm.
Okay, so it would start there and it would wrap around.
It's
to-
right there, the blue picture line, if you can see
Okay.
it. We kind of just did it as best that we could to follow the terrain, so you're not getting into expense or sharp drop-offs or things like
So you'd have
that.
the sidewalk start at the corner of that gate and then you'd have the drop off where the
Yeah.
hill is, okay?
It would run along the top side, you'd stay away from the steepest
Yeah.
part.
Okay.
But whether or not we need that, or if we can do it just from the front would probably be a great idea anyways, because you don't have a really handicap accessible area way to get into that park. The terrain is just, very steep where we park now out back off Monroe Street. So there's just not a good way to get handicap accessible up to the park. So that's why we feel come on the drop-off area at Clay.
Well, I think the one thing that you also need to take into consideration is there are trucks coming up that hill. And you're gonna have to get a car completely off the street. And it's gonna be kind of dangerous to get back onto the street if there's a handicap drop off right there. I know a lot of people park up at the Lutheran church and walk down, you know, strollers and wheelchairs and stuff, and that's what they do now.
And I think that's
I
why-
want to caution you because I feel
agree.
like that would be very dangerous with people coming up that hill.
I pulled out of my driveway the other day and the guy come around the corner and I'm getting yelled at and finger motions that aren't good, all because I tried to get out of my drive. It's not, people
Yeah.
aren't patient, they're not safe, they don't think about it.
Right.
Yeah, I believe that's why Nate put it down. If it's more feasible, you know, we can go to the church and say, hey, how about a handicap spot or something right there that makes it easy for people to get into. It's just we've got the picture and the layout. That's the best we could come up with as far as.
So is it, I assume there is an ADA standard for grade
Yeah.
that would exceed going up over that hill
Oh, yeah.
anyway?
Yeah.
Do you know, is going from where the existing parking is on South Monroe up to that top corner,
Still pretty
going up,
steep.
does that exceed the ADA guideline as well?
I'm not aware of what that exact grade is, but it would be a tough push up to
You
the
can't
corner.
push a wheelchair up that. There's no
And,
way.
and we really just can't get from that grade over to the existing sidewalk without cutting out major bank, and then you have some drop off.
Has anybody been to the Cleveland Zoo and they have that one big hill and how they've got the ramp or whatever
Back and forth.
back and forth? Couldn't that be done
Good. I mean, yes, you can do anything.
on the back?
You can scissor that switchback, what they call it, with a walkway, and go up through there as well. And if you'd like, we can investigate that as well.
I think it'd be a good idea. If they could even park underneath it, you know, off of Monroe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Monroe's nice and quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, I will tell you that, just doing my work, a lot of times it's pretty simple to drive on Monroe, and nobody even comes up behind me yelling at me or anything, so. But yeah, we can investigate that if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be fun with me.
I just don't, yeah, that's why we drew the pictures, just so you're seeing, is that a waste of concrete running when we can't get out through there anyway?
That's, yeah, my question.
It would
What
probably be,
purpose does it serve?
it'd probably be 4 times the cost if you're adding that much extra footage, snaking back and
Yeah.
forth too.
We can look, dig into it and at least report back to you, give you a sample.
How about an escalator? Trying to be funny.
No humor tonight, Bob.
Yes.
What about putting a driveway up from Monroe Street,
Yeah.
like at the top part?
Yeah, I don't know. We've looked at that elevation, whether or not there's enough there. And that can be an option as well, but there's no place. With parks, you don't want vehicles, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And there isn't a lot of room there as far as when you get into there. But we'll look at some different options if you'd like and try to make that back parking lot our main lot to access from.
I guess I have a question. So when the health department came to our Parks and Recreation meeting and discussed, unless I misunderstood the purpose of that, was there grant money eventually? They wanted us to do things to that park to make it more, and we asked about grant money, and I know that initially it's the developing whatever, but was there going to be a grant money available for something like that?
I could check with her again.
I mean, that was her.
And I think they have grant money available for next year too.
So that was her purpose of coming and telling us how we needed to make it better and more accessible, and there was grant money.
Well, I think there were also, depending on the ODNR grant. And the due date is to submit that is June 1st.
That
So
wasn't
I
what
think
she
they
was
were-
here for, was it?
No, but they knew that there was money available out there, and there was discussion about, the potential for applying for that grant. Because I think for that grant, I think there was, I want to say close to $20,000 available.
Okay.
So, and we talked about the exploration of a sidewalk from Monroe Street down at the parking lot up to the park. So, and we were waiting on estimates. So,
If I could, I need that back, please. A couple more things, and the administration just wanted to thank Melsburg Elementary for last week with the touch truck, blow the horn. And also for council, administration would like to approval to start advertising for a street department job. So we're gonna probably be losing an employee in end of July.
So we'll need a motion.
Second.
Poland?
Aye.
Kellogg?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Aye.
Aye.
Con?
Who is going to be leaving, Chad?
Mr. Strauss,
Okay,
retiring.
okay.
Is that all you got?
That's it.
Do we have any design review board or planning and zoning for next week?
At this time, no, there's
No?
none
Okay.
scheduled.
Okay. All right, chief. Nothing? Okay, Jessica,
Got nothing.
you do have something. We need a motion to pay the bills for June, July, and August, since we'll be meeting once each of those months.
I'll second.
Poland?
Aye.
Hofstadter?
Aye.
Shoemaker?
Aye.
Vaughn?
Aye.
Con?
aye.
Kellogg?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
Thank you. Wanted to let everybody know that the bid proposal for the trailer park has been made public. And I talked to Aaron Davis today. He's the agent for the receiver. They are getting interest in that. We are going to be meeting on June the 10th with a tax incentive specialist. And we're going to be talking about what possible tax incentives might be out there. And we'll have a recommendation back to council. We might have, if we do it in an ordinance fashion, we might have to do it on an emergency basis because we only have one meeting a month in the July, which is July the 14th, because of the timing of when the bids are going to be coming in. They should be coming in sell the property sometime this summer. So we have to maybe ratchet up the time schedule on these tax incentive, the tax incentive bid package rather. So that's going on. I know there's going to be a report from the housing committee about the bed tax, long-term, short-term rental, et cetera. And I'll be glad to, anything that council wants me to do as far as drafting legislation. I would note that this is sort of a hot topic in the legislature in Columbus right now. And right now they are talking about limiting local authority to regulate that. So we're gonna have to, there's no use us passing an ordinance and say it's in conflict with the new state law, and they say, well, you might have an ordinance, but it's not gonna be any good. So I'll have to find out what the status, there are actually 4 bills pending right now in the legislature on short-term rental, so it's obviously a very hot topic. So we'll figure that out. Still having trouble figuring out from the Division of Liquor Control the status of the DORA. It's interesting to try to get a hold of anybody down there. And I think I mentioned we have a meeting on June the 10th to talk about the big bid packages and the tax incentive that'll go along with that. And that's all I've got. Thank
Okay.
you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Were you working on the village rules any, or?
Yeah, I have been.
Okay.
I've had a chance to look at that. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through that. Tom and I had a discussion a few days ago. I think we're ready to schedule a meeting, right, Tom, of the personnel committee, and we'll go from there. We'll try to get that finished, hopefully this summer.
Okay.
And then we also have the personnel committee that's, we talked about, we need to revise our personnel policy. And so I got a proposal from Kevin, and I asked him if I could share it with, the rest of that committee. And I haven't heard back from him yet. I don't know why he would say no, but I haven't heard back from him. So we need to get that ball rolling also if we're going to revise the personnel policy. So, okay, that's all. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, upcoming committee meetings. We do not have design review board, planning and zoning then this week. So our next meeting will be council, June 9th. Committee reports, Tree City, Chad.
Yes, I was lucky enough on May 15th to represent Melsburg and Avon. Little did I know that I'd have to get up in front of about 300 people, but luckily I always look good. So this is our flag as our award for our 10-year.
Oh, nice.
Everybody can see that.
That's awesome.
So it was a very good event. It was amazing how long some of those cities have been, we're talking 30, 40 years. So it was really worthwhile and helpful. And I'll be able to report back to Tree City next week, some ideas and things that they had. That's it.
Okay, great. Business and Housing Committee met. You all have the 5 suggestions that they made. Like Bob said, there are things going on in the legislature, so if you guys want to move on any of them, if you don't want to move on any of them, we can open it up for discussion.
I don't think we should do anything until we hear from the state what happens. It'd be a waste of time.
Yeah.
I agree.
Everyone agree?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. All right, then we will move on. We have our first reading by title only, 2025-103, an ordinance amending the zoning map, zone territory of the Village of Millersburg, JDM Rentals. So now we will continue our discussion with that. So we've heard everybody's discussion. Does council have any questions or any thoughts?
Does anyone know who JDM Rentals is?
James Miller.
So are they JDM homes?
I mean, who, local?
I think it'd be part of like Brothers and Miller or JD Miller Excavating.
Okay.
Chad, are they those that had an ad in the, is that them?
I don't know if they're related within the
Okay.
homes. I do know they build
Okay.
homes too. but
Okay.
When I spoke to the gentleman, it was James Miller.
Okay.
The address on the application was outside of town.
No.
It was Millersburg, but it was outside of town. It was 4652 Township Road 352, Millersburg was the address that they have on this. And they're correct, they were not at the planning and zoning meeting, and they've not been here today. So what will happen with this is we have 3 readings. So today's the first reading. June meeting will be the second reading. The July meeting, which is I had that written down here somewhere. July the 14th, that is the meeting that we vote on this. Okay?
Did you say June 9th?
June 9th is the next meeting for council, and then July 14th will be the date that we vote on this zoning. So this is just the first reading, while the second reading in June, and then in July, we will be voting on that.
So can we
You
come
could,
back every
absolutely,
time?
absolutely.
If other people wanna come,
If other people want to come, that's great. If you have more things to add or to say, that's great too. Absolutely. Yep.
Can I just ask a follow-up from what Andrew was asking? As far as the Planning and Zoning Committee, when they met, I understand, because I used to be on that committee, but there was obviously a favorable response to going forward to having council actually make the decision. Do you know, or does
I
anybody
don't
know?
think that was the case.
Okay.
They were okay sending it to you. That's, don't you agree? We
Well,
said,
I mean, I was vocal about, I've been vocal about, we can say it can stop now, but I know that there was a situation on North Mount Anthony that some people were very upset about a duplex, and they're still very upset about a duplex.
yep,
And I asked how many, duplexes and triplexes have been approved all over, and Nate said there's been quite a few. So, I wasn't here, but I'm confused as to, there's gonna be some people that said, boy, I objected. Boy, I didn't want that happening next to me. And so then we're just gonna say, well, we decided now, that's when we're going by emotion.
Or maybe it's just time that it stops.
Wow. Then
Well,
there's-
I agree that, every situation is different. Every situation is so unique, and the people that voice their concern, that needs to be heard. But I know that when I was on planning and zoning, that we did, if we as a majority felt that we needed to pass that on to council to ultimately make the decision, then we voted on that. We made that
Everybody on there
decision.
voted, absolutely.
And it was presented to council, and my question was simple, that, if there was a consensus
Yeah.
of a positive vote, I'm just curious as to how that landed and what the response was that, actually put them in a position actually.
Nobody was
allow us.
bullied or forced to make, everybody made that vote that sits on planning and zoning, not one person, well, Bob abstained
Mhm.
yeah.
because he lives
Because he
there,
lives
but
there.
everybody else.
Can I make a general observation? Yeah, I used to be invited to attend all of the planning and zoning meetings, and I haven't, I'm no longer invited, and I haven't been to one for years now. But
can tell you that when we revised the code in 2004, we never had a special use district before that, okay? What the special use district has been used for, right or wrong, is to have a little island of a different zoning designation in the middle of whatever it is, R3, whatever. And that's exactly what this is. So, you know, what happens is, and was it intended to do that? I don't think so, but that's just my opinion. But every one of these zoning changes that you guys are considering are special use district changes that are in the middle of a district that is different than what the use is being put in the special use. Okay, the special use, what that means is there's a development plan. They have to have a development plan, which, to tell you the truth, I don't think that the development plans that I've seen pass muster. I mean, they're just a drawing. I mean, you could make a drawing on a cocktail napkin and submit it, and I mean, I'm being facetious there, but I think what council, the message council is sending to planning and zoning is, yeah, we like all these changes. We like all these special use districts in the middle of R3s or R whatever. And if you don't like it, you better start denying them to tell planning and zoning, you know, don't bring this weak stuff in here anymore. You see what I'm saying? That's sort of what's been happening over the last, since 2004.
Do you think that once there's a special use in the middle of a residential district, that it then becomes easier to get more and more special use in that area?
In all zoning, okay, it has to, one of the factors is the neighborhood. And Olivia said it perfectly, okay? And I know there's a lot of emotion here, but take the emotion out of it. Just follow the criteria, and you might start to wonder whether or not this meets the criteria that's in a very objective, black and white, no emotion. I wonder. And I agree that if planning and zoning is, if something like this is presented to planning and zoning, they should vote, they shouldn't approve it. You guys shouldn't even be considering this, because it should be denied at that level. But I think the message that's gotten through, these things are never denied. I can't even remember the last time a change in zoning was denied. Maybe never, since I've been here 28 years. And the special use district is the bugaboo. If you look at the zoning changes, they're all to special use. So, my observation.
Well, and I obviously don't know how this board is going to vote on that, but for the neighbors, to give you a little bit of peace of mind, if it does go through and it is zoned special use, you had mentioned all the things that it could potentially become. Anytime the use of that district changes, it has to come back before planning and zoning. So it's not like because it's special use, it'll automatically open it up to anything else. So again, I don't know how this board is gonna vote, but just to ease your mind a little bit, that it wouldn't necessarily be that worst case scenario.
I want to be very clear, I'm not concerned about this development specifically. I'm concerned about future developments that abut to this property and how the council and the board will vote at that time. I think it's different board members, different development. Who knows what it is? This sets a precedence. The island is created. It's gonna grow.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I had a sub point off of that. I mean, like you said, like it has to go back to planning and zoning to get approved. Well, the precedent's been ask and you shall receive. You know, you can do whatever And my thought is, why, I mean, you have a zoning code. You guys use it obviously procedurally, right? You follow like all the steps, but you're not using it to actually guide your decisions, right? You're picking and choosing like what you actually want to use, or not saying you actually are, but not all of it's being actually followed. So why even have it? Why even have the statute? It was implemented, and why even have the zoning if it's just gonna kind of be, not a free-for-all, but, you know, like I said, ask and you shall receive, so. That's all on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
It actually wouldn't have to go back to planning and zoning, since we had the first reading now. The next two readings, we vote on it here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not gonna
I'm
go.
saying in the future, Bob.
In the
I think
future
what-
of other.
Okay.
Because
What's being said is that the development plan is approved, okay, in special use. There's a development plan, which is unique to special use. There's a development plan. And if it's approved as special use, in order for the owner of the property to change the use, they have to come back to planning and zoning and change the development plan. But the problem with that is the development plan, like I said, could be a drawing on a cocktail napkin. I mean, who knows what the development plan is?
Well-
It should that day come, that's where the onus falls on the planning and zoning board to.
Exactly, yeah.
The other thing is the duplex up on Matt Anthony Street was approved as a duplex, and there's 3 electric boxes and 3 furnaces and 3 of everything up there now.
And no parking in the back.
And no
yet.
parking in the back.
So,
There's a big mound of dirt. So I feel confident saying, if you want to draw a line in the sand, don't feel like just because it's happened that way before, we can't draw that line.
Kelly, that is exactly a concern I have too. There's a single-family residence on the property now. As Bob mentioned, they can change the development plan. There's nothing stopping them from coming back to council, coming back to the village, asking for a demolition permit to tear that house down and putting another triplex on that property. It was zoned for single-family residential. There's room for 1 more single-family residential on that property. We're fine with that.
Any other comments?
I'll make it, the comment when they built the condos or started my house, that was all zoned single family. I wasn't allowed to vote because I lived there. And right now, it's been nothing but headaches. The traffic's a mess. He hasn't upheld what he was supposed to do, the contractor or builder. So we didn't have, the people against those condos like we do here tonight. That means something.
It does.
They care.
It does. All of them are here. They're all neighbors
Right.
and they care. That it means a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
Any other question? Tom, did you have something?
So if the property on Mad Anthony Street has the ability for 3 places, what's our recourse?
Well, I called Nate to find out what's going on, and he called up there, and the guy said, well, no, that's just for my storage. So do you have a separate electric for your storage and a separate furnace for your storage? It doesn't make any sense.
If you go look at it, actually, one of the meters are missing. The 2 are there and one's missing, so I don't know what he's
Yeah,
doing.
I don't know. But there's also no parking in the back either, so.
I mean, I guess as a new person, I need to understand is that you're right. I followed council and planning and zoning I sat on planning and zoning a long time ago, and it just looked to me like everything got rubber stamped. So, I've tried to buck some of that. I haven't been real successful, but maybe it'll start now. We'll see.
Okay, so we'll have 2 more meetings and we'll vote in July, and you can feel free to come and bring whoever you'd like, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for letting us go over too.
That's all right.
Okay,
I have
so,
one question.
yeah.
When Teresa was talking about 4 Low, why was it never opened up? I mean, They will go down to the condos, which is not actually in Millersburg with the streets that they have so far. And the trash will go in there and pick up their trash, but the people on Forlow Street, they have to bring it clear up to Sill Street because the garbage truck doesn't go down there. I don't understand.
It's closed, that extension of Furlow is closed. It's been closed for years, and like I said, it ended on Scenic View property. If you look at any of the old maps, it ended on that property. Furlow never went on to touch this JDM Rentals property. That was somehow a driveway or something?
Yeah, I mean, but it's just like going to the condos. We do not, the streets back there is Sycamore, and I think there's a Beach Street down in there now. The garbage trucks go down there, and that's still not opened up for the village, as village streets.
I would like to make a request on record that the zoning and planning board thoroughly reviews the development plans that are submitted for a zoning change and asks questions on legal points of access. Just so that all the facts are there. Something does not get approved prematurely, sent to council, which increases the voting percentage that you as the council has to go to. If you go along with the zoning board, it's 50%. Whatever the recommendation is, if you are supporting their decision, 50% of you, it's a majority, 51%, sorry. If you're going against the zoning board's recommendation, which is what is happening here, because they made a 5 out of 5 or 6 out of 6 swing, yes, 75% of you have to do it. And I think that decision was based off of an inaccurate, illegitimate development plan.
Well, and I will say this, we weren't presented about the road access thing.
Yeah.
So that's you know, no offense, I've got somebody that, we get brought to us. I mean, that road thing, that's new to me, okay? So so I was giving an inaccurate thing sitting on planning and zoning about road access.
But Andrea, and I agree, I do. He's an engineer. The village needs an engineer.
Well,
If we had an engineer on staff, the engineer would check all that out. The development plan would not be.
were you plugging in for a job?
Do you need a job, Jason?
But, right, so we're not given a whole picture, then I didn't know about that road.
Andrea, for years, I've thought those development plans are ridiculous. They're totally inaccurate. I mean, we don't require the developer to do anything. And the one that they proposed was actually one of the better ones. Because a lot of times all they do is take a picture of the tax map and submit that as the development plan.
I think the developer should have
This is
to
what
come.
we got, and do you see the big Forlow Street right there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
what we
that's
received.
confusing.
And so we were led to believe that, yeah, that's where
So, yeah, so
this
that-
is what we were given.
And we didn't do a formal title search. We just simply looked at
Yeah.
the GIS map,
Yeah.
and it does not show Forlow.
Yeah.
Well, I
There
think,
should be a total title search.
yep,
There should be a site survey done, and this is all the developers, on the developer's dime, so that you know where the property lines are. You don't know where the property
No,
lines are on that.
From what I can tell, I actually believe that this property is landlocked because they
Oh
don't
my
have frontage on Maxwell or Marshall. The Gimbelsburgers own a lot that they currently access through. So how can you, as a zoning board, a planning and zoning board, approve of a development plan with a landlocked parcel?
you're correct.
Well, and it says property address, it doesn't, there's no number, it just says Marchand Street, there's no address.
That is a dead end street.
Yeah.
How can there be more development on that?
And you're right, Jason, the GIS map
And maybe
doesn't, looks like
developers need
it's
to come to
landlocked.
planners
I mean,
and-
that it's,
Yeah, or we say no.
yeah,
Just my perception.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So, thank you all
Thank you
so
for
much.
edu-
Thank you.
for educating
Yes,
us.
we appreciate that.
Bye, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. I had a conversation this last week with Andrea, and I have rethought the way we think of old business and new business. Because in my mind, old business has always been things we've talked about before. New business has been things we've never talked about before. But I think that we need to change the way that we look at that and have old business be things that we need to make a decision on or take off the table, and new business be things that we can have time to think about and talk to people and make decisions. And I think that items that don't need an immediate vote, we put in the new business. Things that you guys aren't interested in, we just take that out of old business. So when we go into old business, you know, and maybe like if I bring traffic lights into old business, then we need to do something about it. Okay, well, so we're doing something about it. I know that Nate hasn't got you guys any numbers yet. He's been working on that, but I did make a few phone calls. I looked up, Galion, Ohio has state routes that come through, and they have short blocks like we do. There are actually quite a few. I did call one place up in Vermont. Woodstock, Vermont has a historic district just like ours. They have short blocks just like ours. They have state routes that come in together just like ours. So I called to ask them what they did for their traffic, and they have stop signs, and we're not even gonna go there. So I was like, well, thank you for your time, but never mind. We're not interested in stop signs. So Nate will be getting you guys that. So we'll keep that in the new business column for now so that we can continue to work on that. The one thing I did want to bring up for old business is the video that Bob talked about with Bronson. We got a letter from the commissioners, and we did not receive any bed tax dollars. So if that is something that you guys want to put in the new business column, think about maybe sometime in the future, that's fine. If you want to take it off the table, that's fine. I just wanted to give you guys that information.
I want to ask him if he'll sharpen his pencil.
Okay. That's great. I did have another idea this week, and you guys can tell me I'm crazy if you're not. I was thinking about all of the different things we have going on, and I want to make a proposal that each council member have a specific area of focus or expertise. This would involve taking responsibility. I wrote this all down so that I could tell you guys. Taking responsibility for researching best practices, investigating how similar issues are addressed in other municipalities, staying informed on developments within that topic. The goal would be, so when items are brought before council with your topic, we have a designated member who can speak knowledgeably and provide informed guidance for all of council. So this would strengthen our decision-making, but it would also allow council members to be recognized for their leadership and their accomplishments in those areas. I put this in the new business column so that you guys could think about it. I was trying to think of different possible areas of expertise. Some of the things I came up with, and you guys can add to this or not, paving the roads and sidewalks would be one. Traffic flow, investigating other towns, their solutions. Parking, possible additional parking spots, handicap spot usage. Parks and cemetery suggestions. Personnel, raise suggestions, openings. Strategic initiative implementation, and trailer park with current problems, tax incentives, sales suggestions. So those are just 7 areas that I came up with that we have all been dealing with. So you guys can think about that and see if that is something that you would be interested in. I just thought that it might help us if we had a resident expert that has been doing research on sidewalks and road pavement and driving around town, and this needs done here, and it would just take a little bit off of Nate and Chad. Just not that I want them to do any less, but I just think that it would help us with our decision making, having somebody say, oh yeah, well, I talked to this town and this is what they did, and just help all of us. So it's just an idea.
Well, can I add to what your idea is?
Yeah.
All right, so because it kind of feeds into my thing here. So I really want to use this form. So it's in our rules, we have the form that, and if you look at the rules about when someone comes to a meeting, and you know, if I would have been told this, I would have done it. So the form says name, address, telephone number, business or organization which you represent, item for discussion or consideration, action which you request council to take. This kind of feeds into right what you're saying. So in the right world, somebody knows they're coming to a council meeting to address something. They fill out this form and it gets presented to all of us. So we have a chance to know what they're going to be saying.
And I think that's gonna be part of the
Oh,
discussion.
okay, it is part, but even if they don't know until 15 minutes before because something was emotional that happened, the traffic was bad, copies of these forms could still sit over there. And they would have time to fill this out because, no offense, we come into meetings and there might be things sitting here right before we get here, something from Nate, something from Bobby. So then, if it's ahead of time, we've had the chance to address it. Whoever if somebody says, well, I really, this is my thing. But then we're prepared. And if I would have been told to have done this, I would have done it. I mean, I would have, fill that form out real quick and get that, because I had no problem with addressing to council what the things were. But I think that feeds into what you're saying. So if somebody decides they're gonna take that area and say it's about parking, and then at some time, that comes up, action which well, then somebody's taken the time to look into it. So I don't see why, those people were correct. Something's been done like that for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to start taking control of some things. And I don't know why this couldn't, copies of the, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we can have those out there on the table.
Okay.
And here's the thing, if somebody comes in and fills one out, and let's say it's about a parking issue, and you're in charge of the parking
Okay.
issue, she can scan it and email it directly
Yep.
to you. You can get it first before we get it in the packet, so that you're already working on it, and
That's probably the purpose of this,
probably,
and it never got used.
yeah. I didn't know that was even a thing.
We just, as a body, have to be willing to do that.
What do you
Because that's
mean?
what happened before. They had the forms, but then, somebody came in, we're not gonna make them do it.
Well, that's wrong. Who
Yeah.
decided that?
What?
Who decided that somebody
Well, they-
didn't
they
have to
wanna
follow the
turn-
rules?
They didn't wanna turn somebody away that had a problem. I'm just saying that we have to decide we're gonna use it if we're
Alright.
gonna implement it, and then stick to that.
I'm all for it.
Again, it doesn't mean somebody still can't address council,
Right,
but they have to complete.
the form.
And prior councils have not been willing to do that. So
Right.
if that's, and I don't have a problem with it,
I don't either.
but we just have to be willing and consider when we bring the council rules, that's what we're gonna follow. And
Yeah.
sorry for your luck, Bob, you can't talk to us tonight, or go back out and fill the form
Well,
out and then come back in.
For example, it's not in the rules, and then Bob may want to add this. We don't have it in the rules that you have to come up to the mic and address. I did. I was told I had to.
Yeah.
It's been added.
Where?
It's been added. I've been working on.
Oh, you're
In the
adding.
new,
Oh,
in the
good,
new,
good.
in the
Okay.
new, in the
Because
new.
something didn't get added to minutes because somebody didn't come up.
Yeah,
So that, so somebody should know that. Okay, that's fine. You've come to council, you've decided, to me, they shouldn't be allowed to speak. But if they decide not to come up to the mic, then they should know that won't be
Won't be
that
put
that
in the-
won't be
in
put
the
in
don't even
minutes.
actually, we don't even or shouldn't even recognize them if they're not.
if they're not gonna be willing to come up to the.
Absolutely, and I was willing.
Here's the thing, and I hope everybody agrees with this concept. If you have rules,
Mhm.
you need to follow the rules.
Absolutely.
And if you're not gonna follow the rules, you shouldn't have the rules.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna follow.
Right,
Now, the presiding officer is the one that's gonna
Yeah.
be the gatekeeper,
Yeah.
and you're gonna piss some people off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to use that phrase.
No, that's the word.
I already do.
You're elected, if you're
It's okay.
elected, you've already learned that.
Yeah, it's fine. That's fine.
So, and I think it's great to have rules, and everybody knows the rules, and everybody follows the rules. And it's pretty easy to, like you said, jot something down on a piece of paper, the last second.
Well, and if I'm standing
Yeah,
out here,
yeah.
welcoming people,
Yeah,
and I don't know who
right.
they are, we don't have anything, I can direct them then to fill that out, and that's fine.
I mean, you're a bailiff, so you've got to make sure that the rules are followed. When you were a judge, the rules had to be followed. This is no different.
And I think we need to be able to judge that, and I have some things in the minutes that we've been working on, that depending on the topic, depends on if we even address it that night.
That's
Right.
another thing,
Because-
slow
Yes,
it down.
yes,
Because if
that's
we're
true.
not prepared, because you bring an issue up and you're not prepared
Right.
Right.
to talk about it, sorry, we'll address it at the next meeting.
Yes.
Yes, that's fine.
And if it's, thank you.
And we can put that in new business, and think about it, talk to our constituents, and then be prepared
And then be prepared to address it.
for coming
Slow this
forward.
all down a little bit.
Well,
I mean,
I
that's
have
a
to-
suggestion in the minutes, or the minutes we've been working on.
I have to admit, when I first, started, coming to council meetings, as a councilman, I saw that sheet, I saw that agenda that you were referring to. And honest to goodness, after a time or two or three, or 4 or 5, I just realized, okay, this isn't something that we're following. So I didn't say anything. I let it go. I fell under, I guess, the impression that if somebody came to me, I told them about the forum, okay? But if somebody came to the meeting, it was my understanding that this is the way that
It was.
we're operating, and it's okay. So I will admit that, that's something that I guess I saw happening and thought it was okay, so. And I don't have a problem with, trying to, abiding by the rules and telling people they need to fill that out.
And sometimes once you've written it, once you've written it down, and then if it's not addressed initially, the emotion can come out of it.
Yeah.
But we can't give them, we can't do the action they request if we're not prepared to address the problem.
Right. We can't vote on it if we're not prepared to vote on it, and we're not going to.
I think if it's a pressing issue, people would want to come in a few days ahead and not wait until meeting night.
Well, and I think sometimes when things get brought up in this council meeting, people will hear about it, talk about it, and then maybe the next council meeting, they want to come in and talk about it, So that gives,
And there are a lot of people that are
It gives
getting
time.
emails of the agenda.
yeah,
So that's when they might
They
that
might
Friday
see.
before, that Monday, and then they think, well, I'm gonna come to the meeting.
right,
That could be included
Yeah.
in the packet that's released to the public, which
yeah,
maybe it's on the front page, even before the agenda.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Put it on our website, then people will have it.
Yeah, I think it should be on the website.
Yeah, I
Should
think
be
so
in
too.
the resident information booklet that we have,
Right,
if we're gonna
And
use it.
some copies on the table.
yeah, we definitely need some copies on table. Okay, so does that sound good with the new business, old business? Wrap your head around it, we'll talk about it in the future.
So figure out.
It just makes sense.
Figure out what we think we're experts at when we walk around and look at everything and then.
Right.
But new business is gonna be things that come up new, and
New-
then if traffic lights falls under old business until we make a decision.
Right.
One way or the other. It's-
Right. The old business will be stuff that we want to talk about, or we have decisions to make, or you have
Waiting
some
for
information
information.
about, yeah. And the new business is, we're just thinking
new
about
topic.
it, yeah, and we'll talk about it in the future. Okay, so does anyone else have any old business or new business?
Berlin, how do they handle the traffic problem? I mean, I never hear people griping about it.
It's bad.
Well, I know it's bad.
I gripe about it.
Boy,
Well, it's actually much better than it used to be. When they added that turning lane in the middle,
Yeah.
that made a big difference.
Right.
I mean, it's not as bad
Oh,
as it used to be.
it's not as bad, yeah.
Because it used to be backed up a mile.
Yeah,
you know,
oh
and-
yeah,
and
either way.
I haven't seen it that bad lately, but so that turning, that center expansion made a big difference, but it's still terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible. It is terrible.
And they have a lot, they put up more things where people can walk, so
Right,
that the things that,
crosswalks,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just never hear people complaining.
Call my husband.
I give you a couple of truck drivers. Be careful.
Okay.
Robert's my man, he likes the Oak Island, like, just like me.
That's right, that's right. Any visitors wish to address council? Tom?
I don't know if we want to set a personnel committee meeting to discuss the minutes.
Okay,
Either the 16th or the 30th. And I'm not sure that,
of June.
yes. If Nate wants to decide whether or not department heads need to be here, because it really doesn't have
Yeah,
anything to do with department heads.
that's fine.
But, I mean, they're welcome. I mean, people are always welcome. I'm not sure that they'd be required to be here for that.
Okay. Do you have a preference
I don't. It's just 2 days that I know I can be here
that you?
without. We could even do it at 6 if we wanted to.
Hmm? Bob?
Remind us who's on that committee, Kelly?
I'm hunting. Personnel Committee, Tom Vaughn, Brad Kahn, Devon Poland, the Administrator, Fiscal Officer, Chief Mayor. Brad Devon.
I assume you want me there or not?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
because you've been going through it.
6 or 7. Doesn't matter. I'm not traveling that day.
What day is again, June?
16,
16.
16.
Monday.
We make it, I've got a Cleveland Clinic doctor's appointment at 3 o'clock in downtown Cleveland, so 6:30 we might pray do that.
Okay.
That's not too late.
I mean,
That's
if you
on
want to do 7, that's fine too. I just,
the 16th at 6:30, is that what we're looking at?
Not a good face.
Brad?
Speaking of face.
Going to the US Open the weekend before.
Oh.
I don't know when we're coming back.
Well, the third, if you want to do
The 30th?
I gotta think I'm gonna be home that evening.
I'm on vacation that week. Actually, I'm now going to look at my calendar.
30th is okay with me
Lucy.
too.
Devon, is the 30th okay with you?
He's saying no.
I'm on vacation.
Oh, you're, okay.
Use my hand.
Okay, well, we'll just do the 16th, Brad, if you don't make it back, it's
Okay.
okay, okay? The 16th at
It's
6:30,
highlighted here as opposed to in the box.
okay. 16th at 6:30, Tom?
And I'll get the drafts out to everybody. They're going to be intermixed between the existing and the changes, so you can easily see and we can easily go through what changes are there.
Okay, that sounds great. Good. Anyone have anything else? Executive session? We have a motion for adjournment.
I assume I'll
Second.
Can't wait.
Everybody's hungry.
Shoemaker,
Aye.
Officer,
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Poland. Con.
Aye.
Kellogg.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
That wasn't